All right, so I watched The Matrix Resurrections a second time, and second hot take, I'm gonna say it's not quite as bad as Space Jam 2. I think saying it's worse than Space Jam 2 is a little bit much. So I've come to like the film to a certain extent now. And again, that's not to say that I think it's some incredible film. I still think the movie has a lot of problems, but it it's not quite as bad as I originally thought it was. Giving it a second look, it does have some good points. So I'll talk about it a little bit. So, honestly speaking, there were a lot of things I kind of missed in the first viewing, but I'll get to that stuff. But first of all, I just want to talk about what's the biggest mindfuck in the whole Matrix series to me. So, to me, the biggest mindfuck of the whole Matrix series will always be how much people hate the sequels. I will never understand. Bro, I can't fucking understand people. In fact, I've just become convinced at this point, like, I see people saying that they think The Matrix Resurrections is like a better film than Reloaded and Revolutions. I see people ranking it like, yeah, if you have to rank the Matrix films, it's like the original, then Resurrections, then Reloaded and Revolutions. Like, I don't know, man. I hear people talk about these Matrix sequels, and I am constantly convinced, like, I'm convinced about the two things. Either we're watching different movies, or the people who say they hate the second and third Matrix films so much, I'm convinced those people don't even really like the first Matrix film that much. I honestly don't think they do. I could, for a variety of reasons. The first off is like, one of the biggest complaints I constantly hear about the second and third Matrix films is they say, oh, there's too much time in Zion. Oh, we're just having this dialogue in Zion all the time. Like, bro, in the first movie, they kept talking about Zion. They keep building up Zion. They keep talking about Zion like it's this wicked place. They're like, dude, if we ended the war, Zion would be where the party is, man. Like they're always talking about Zion in the first film, but we never get to see Zion until the second film. And we spend a good amount of time world building in Zion and figuring out like this is what's going on with the other red pills and like I don't know. I love that world building in the second and third films. I loved how they like really explained better like how there's all these different programs with sentience. And this film as well kind of expands on that in having this concept of there being machines who don't want to control the humans. Like, and you know, I like this line that's in Resurrections where the new Morpheus says, just like not all want to be free, not all seek to control. Like, I really like that. Because it's true, not everybody wants to have their mind open. They don't, a lot of people in this world, they just want to live a closed minded life. They don't want to be open to new perspectives or new possibilities, and that's just kind of how it is. So it would make sense that there would be machines who conversely do not seek to just control everything and enslave everyone. So I just want to talk a little bit about the things that I did like about this movie. I didn't realize at first that it's kind of meta that the character Bugs is called Bugs as in bunny. I mean, so the literal white rabbit that Neo follows in this film is actually a character named Bugs Bunny. And it's a Warner Brothers film. They literally name drop Warner Brothers in the film itself. So I think on second viewing that was kind of funny. And I gotta say, like, I really did enjoy like certain ideas in this film. Like this film has it has better ideas than it has execution, and that's one of the major problems with the Matrix Resurrections. So although I do like it a little bit now, I still don't think it's as good a film as those first three Matrix films. Like NPH as the analyst is just wonderful. Like I honestly like kind of didn't notice how he's always right as Neo's about to be So like I was making fun of that bathroom scene where Neo's like, it's an experiment, it's a trick, and like it kind of makes sense when you think about it. Like Neo, every time he's come close to actually getting red pilled, he always like the analyst finds him and like wakes him up in his office or something like this, and so it kind of makes sense. And I don't know, like I have to admit that I also like that there's some love given to the side characters from the second and third film. Like one of the girls on the ship, the Nemesine, is the granddaughter of Roland. So Roland, if you remember, he was Niobe's new husband in the second and third film, and Morpheus was kind of like strung out about her being with him now. So it's nice to see that that character Roland did get some love in the second in this new film. So it does look like a lot of these newer cast members, the younger cast members, are kind of like the descendants of some of those people we remembered from the second and third film. So I don't know. I really like the fact that when making this film, even though a lot of people are saying it's basically like framed as like a remake of the first film in some ways, it isn't really. It's really designed to be a follow up to the series, and the second and third film are part of the series. As much as people, the Animatrix, all that shit is part of the series. Like I don't know. I always find it so weird when people say they're fans of the Matrix and they fucking hate everything that isn't the first movie. It's like, and that's the thing. I'm convinced if you only like the first movie, you probably don't like it that much. If you don't appreciate how much the second and third film did to build up the world that was created in the first film, to show us more of the real world, to kind of explore the relationship between like Smith and Neo better. One disappointment I have with Resurrections is that we don't have a great explanation of what the Golden Code was. Like, there's a lot of scenes of the Golden Code in the second and third film. Like, Neo sees Smith in the real world as Golden Code. When he goes to the source, there's Golden Code there. And I really would have appreciated a better explanation of that. But this film does have some good ideas. Like it does have a couple good ideas, like the idea of the new Morpheus kind of being like Smith and Morpheus put together as an artificial construct by Neo. So it's sort of like I kind of can. I still have a problem with Jonathan Groff as Agent Smith. I really feel like Jonathan Groff just should have been a new character. Because he doesn't even sort of feel like Agent Smith. He has none of the mannerisms of Agent Smith. He's not wearing a suit or sunglasses. He's wearing like khakis and like a cardigan with like sandals on and like Ray-Bans. Like I'm like, dude, this is nothing like Agent Smith at all. Like he has like Jonathan Groff's character, he has swag, but it's just not Agent Smith swag. It's like, why didn't they just make a new character, man? Like it would have made so much more sense to just make Jonathan Groff into a new character. See, I can accept that Yahya Abdul Mateen is a new character because this isn't technically the original Morpheus. The original Morpheus is deceased. This new character is kind of an artificial fusion of like the two coolest people that Neo ever knew, which was Morpheus and Agent Smith. So he kind of combined them into one artificial construct character, and that's the new Morpheus. So I'm kind of cool with that. Like I said, there's some great ideas. I think the swarm mode in general as like a concept of like everyone in the Matrix suddenly goes into like murder mode and like they're all trying to kill you and they're all like diving out of buildings and shit. You know, that as a concept is fucking cool. Some of the execution could have been, in fact, it is kind of a scary concept when they're like riding down the motorcycle and people are like diving out of the fucking buildings like suicide bombers. So it is a cool idea. But, you know, what could have been executed better? I just think the fight choreography could have been better. I think the Merovingians cameo is actually hilarious. The Merv coming back as this like jilted hobo guy is actually hilarious the more you think about it, and like it's very true to the Merv's character. Like, I was glad that we got Sati to come back in the form of Priyanka Chopra's character, but you know, this film does that thing. Like, there was one scene near the end where they're trying to bust out Trinity, where they do this thing that films do, where they explain a heist, but rather than explaining the heist first and then showing the characters doing it, as they explain the heist, they show the characters doing it. So as they explain how Morpheus, the new Morpheus, and Bugs are going to go up into the Machine City and get Trinity out, and they're going to do this thing where Trinity jacks into Bugs, and I don't know, it's this weird switcheroo thing. They gloss over it very quickly, and you get this thing of Trinity screaming, and you see Jessica Henwick's face, and then Jess Henwick screams, you see Trinity's face, and it's a very weird visual image, and I'm not sure if most people understood what the hell was going on there. I feel like maybe on a third and fourth watch, maybe I'll finally understand what exactly is going on, but it feels like it's more about the visual image than it is about making sense. So yeah, like they kind of just, as they're explaining this breakout thing, they showed Morpheus like sneaking in and doing it, and for me at least, it makes it like, even after two viewings, I still find it weird to follow what exactly they were doing here to bust her out. Like, it's strange. I don't know. Like, overall, Matrix Resurrections, I'm glad there's a fourth Matrix film. I would like to see a follow-up one day, maybe. But, like, in general, this film kind of ends in such a way that, like, we get to see Neo and Trinity have a much happier ending than they had in the third film, where they both died. And, you know, I do like that this film tried to show that Neo's sacrifice wasn't meaningless. Like, it did kind of change the definition of what the war is really about, and that's the thing I like as well about this, because in the first film, it can be easy to get caught up with this dichotomy of like humans versus machines, humans, machines. The second and third film kind of show a little bit more that like not all of the machines are necessarily against humanity. You know what I mean? Like the first film had the Oracle, but the Oracle was kind of like this weird anomaly amongst the programs, whereas in the second and third film they kind of fleshed it out more that like not everyone who is an artificial sentience wants to be a part of the system of control that the Matrix is. And so I do like that this film kind of made it more clearly, it's not about machines versus man. It's about those who want to control versus those who want people to be free. Whether, you know, like if you've played Halo Infinite just came out, like there's a whole part in that game about Cortana, the artificial construct, passing away and kind of leaving her legacy behind, and like, and it kind of shows that like, you know, people can become very attached to these characters who are meant to be artificial intelligence. You know, like these artificial intelligent characters, at least in fiction for now, can be on the side of good. Like they can be bad or they can be good. And I like that this film, because the Matrix as an analogy, it's not meant to be about machines versus man. It's meant to be those who seek to control versus those who seek to free. That's really what the Matrix was always about. It wasn't about, you know, Plato's cave or simulated reality so much as it's about those who seek to control, those who seek freedom. And that's really what the Matrix was always truly about, the heart and soul of it. So to see in this film that they did a really clear job of emphasizing, you know, there's some people who don't want to be free. There's some people who want to be a part of the system. There's always going to be people who want to be a part of the system, who enjoy or prefer slavery as long as some people are okay with being a slave as long as you get that one meal a day or whatever, or that little bit of meagerness that you get to have for being a slave. Like they're okay with that because being free can be scary, and so I've always respected that the Matrix franchise has kind of emphasized being truly free can be a scary thing. Like sometimes maybe you want the comfort of the lie. So again, like I really think this film did a lot to kind of build up the overall message of the Matrix being one about about freedom, and but the overall there's just so many problems with the way the film was executed. Overall, it doesn't have some incredible sequence like the reloaded car scene. It doesn't have some huge climactic fight like the last battle between Neo and Smith or the war against the machines in Zion. So overall, I would say the action in all three of the original films are better than what you get in Resurrections. Really, I'm just glad to see, like, I don't know. For me, it's just really hard to predict, like, where do they go with this series now? Like, what do you do with the Matrix now? I feel like this is about as good as a follow up to those first three movies. In terms of delivering a better ending for Neo and Trinity. Everything else about the film, needs a bit of work. But in terms of delivering a better ending for Neo and Trinity, this film gave us what we wanted. So I'm personally still not sure if I even want another Matrix film. This film, in a few ways, it still... It feels like, even as tragic as it was, the third film had some poetry. It was a very poetic kind of tragedy at the end. And there's some meaning in that sacrifice Neo and Trinity made. Now it feels like that sacrifice is less meaningful because they're just back now. Like, I don't know. So I don't know. This movie, it's a real mixed bag. On second watch, I give it, at the very least, it's better than Space Jam 2. Space Jam 2 was a fucking disaster, man. I don't know. Warner Brothers, the only truly good films they released this year, in my opinion, from Warner Brothers was Dune. Denis Villeneuve's Dune was incredible. I want to actually make a review of that film as well. And Godzilla vs. Kong was just a good-ass time. So those were the two hits that Warner Brothers got for this year, at least in my book. The Matrix Resurrections, I should say, could have been a bit better. Overall, I'm okay with it. Could have been a bit better. But it's better than Space Jam 2, I'll give it that. I'm Mike Muhammad. Thanks for watching.